The massive alien ship hung in space like a dark metal mountain. Its strange curves and glowing panels made it look nothing like the clean lines of human vessels. Ambassador Lee Dong-hyun stared at it through the window of his diplomatic ship, the New Soul. He had been waiting for 3 hours to receive the message that would change everything for humanity. Lee adjusted his formal blue uniform and checked his watch again. The Galactic Trade Consortium never rushed anything. They moved slowly, spoke slowly, and made decisions slowly. But when they finally acted, entire civilizations felt the impact. His assistant, a young woman named Park Sumi, approached with a datapad in her hands. Her face was pale and worried. "Sir, the message has arrived," she said quietly. "It's marked as final and non-negotiable." Lee took the pad and began reading. With each line, his expression grew darker. The words were written in the formal language that all consortium members used, but their meaning was crystal clear. Humanity was being cut off. The consortium had decided that humans were too dangerous to trade with freely. They were stopping all shipments of advanced technology to human space. Most importantly, they were ending all sales of quantum core crystals, the rare materials that powered human faster-than-light communication systems and energy generators. Lee read the official reasons listed in the document. Humanity was expanding too quickly into new star systems. Human traders were too aggressive in their business deals. Human explorers asked too many questions about alien technology. The list went on and on, but Lee could see the real reason between the lines. The aliens were afraid of what humans might become if they kept growing stronger. "Get me a direct line to Earth Command," Lee ordered. Priority 1. While Park Sumi set up the communication link, Lee walked to his private office and activated the secure channel. Within minutes, Commander Park Ji-ho's face appeared on the holographic display. The military leader looked tired, as if he had been expecting this call. "How bad is it?" Commander Park asked without any greeting. "Complete embargo," Lee replied. "No more quantum cores, no more advanced materials, no more technology transfers. They're giving us 30 standard days to pull back from the disputed systems near Veltar space." Commander Park was quiet for a long moment. His dark eyes showed no surprise, only calculation. He had been preparing for this possibility for months. "What's our current supply situation?" he asked. "Dr. Kim Nari sent me the numbers yesterday," Lee said, pulling up another file. "We have enough quantum cores to keep our main communication networks running for maybe 6 months. Our energy systems might last a bit longer if we start rationing power to non-essential colonies. And after that," Lee spread his hands, "we go dark. No faster-than-light communications between star systems. No quantum energy generation. We become exactly what they want us to become. A small isolated species stuck in our corner of the galaxy." Commander Park leaned back in his chair. Most alien leaders would be panicking right now, sending desperate messages offering anything to restore trade relationships, but Park was human, and humans thought differently. "What do you know about Chancellor Kixmoth?" Park asked. The question surprised Lee. Kixmoth was the Veltar leader who headed the Trade Consortium Council. He was old, proud, and completely convinced that his species was superior to all others. "He's been in power for over 200 years, Lee said. "His people control most of the known quantum core mining operations. He thinks humans are primitive because we've only been in space for a few centuries instead of a few millennia. Has he ever been wrong about anything important?" Lee thought about it. "Not that I know of. His predictions about galactic politics have been accurate for decades. Other species usually do exactly what he expects them to do." Commander Park smiled, but it was not a friendly expression. Then he's about to learn something new about humans. Before Lee could ask what he meant, another person entered the communication. Dr. Kim Nari's image appeared beside Commander Park's. The chief science officer looked excited despite the bad news they were discussing. "Ambassador Lee," she said, with a quick bow. "I've been analyzing the consortium's trade data for the past year. Did you know that quantum core prices have increased by 300% during that time?" "That seems high," Lee replied. Are they having supply problems? That's what I thought too, Dr. Kim continued. But when I looked deeper, I found something interesting. The consortium isn't mining any new deposits. They're just controlling the flow of crystals from existing sites to keep prices high. Commander Park nodded. Which means there might be more quantum cores out there than they want us to know about, Dr. Kim said. Sites they haven't bothered to develop because they don't need the extra supply. Lee began to understand where this conversation was heading. You're thinking about finding our own sources. I'm thinking about a lot of things, Commander Park said. Dr. Kim, how long would it take to modify our mining equipment to extract quantum cores? If we use existing human technology, maybe 2 months for a working prototype, 3 months for full-scale operations. And our exploration ships? How many systems could we survey in that time? Dr. Kim pulled up a star chart on her display. We have 47 scout ships available for deep space missions. Each one could check 5 or 6 systems per month if we focus on planets with the right geological markers. Lee watched the two of them plan with growing amazement. Most species would be trying to negotiate, offering concessions to restore trade, relationships. But these two were already working on ways to make the embargo meaningless. There's one problem, Lee said. Most of the unclaimed systems with quantum core potential are in disputed space. If we start mining operations there, the consortium will say we're being aggressive. It will prove their point about humans being dangerous. Commander Park and Dr. Kim looked at each other, then back at Lee. Both of them were smiling now. Ambassador, Commander Park said slowly, has it occurred to you that maybe they're right? Lee stared at them. In that moment, he realized that Chancellor Kixmoth had made a serious mistake. The Veltar leader thought he was dealing with a species that would beg and negotiate when threatened. Instead, he had just challenged a group of beings who preferred to solve their own problems. How soon can we start? Lee asked. The meeting that followed lasted 6 hours and changed the course of human history. Captain Song Minho stood on the bridge of his scout ship, the Iron Wolf, watching the stars shift as they dropped out of hyperspace. This was the 15th system they had checked in 3 weeks, and so far they had found nothing but empty rock and gas giants. But Song was not discouraged. He had been hunting for things his whole life, and he knew that patience always paid off in the end. Behind him, his crew worked quietly at their stations. Engineer Cho Yuna was running deep scans of the 4th planet in the system, looking for the specific energy signatures that meant quantum cores might be buried in the rock. Pilot Han Ji-won kept the ship moving in a slow pattern that would let their sensors map every inch of the planet's surface. It had been 2 months since the consortium's embargo began. Instead of begging for mercy like the aliens expected, humanity had launched the largest exploration mission in their history. Commander Park called it Operation Finders Keepers, and the name made Song smile every time he heard it. 47 scout ships were spread across the galaxy, all looking for the same thing, quantum cores that belonged to no one. Captain, Cho Yuna called from her station, I'm getting some interesting readings from the northern continent. Song walked over to look at her display. The screen showed a 3-dimensional map of the planet below them, with different colors marking various mineral deposits. Most of it was the usual stuff you found on rocky worlds, iron and copper and other common metals. But there was a small area marked in bright blue. What am I looking at? Song asked. Quantum resonance patterns, Cho Yuna explained. Very faint, but definitely there. The deposits are about 2 kilometers underground, which explains why they're hard to detect. Han Ji-won looked up from her pilot controls. Are we sure this planet doesn't belong to anyone? I'd hate to start a war over a mining claim. Song checked their navigation records. This system was marked as unclaimed space on all official charts. No alien species had ever filed territorial papers here. More importantly, it was far enough from any major trade routes that most civilizations ignored it completely. According to our records, this whole sector is empty, Song said. No colonies, no mining operations, no territorial claims. If there are quantum cores here, they're free for the taking. The crew spent the next 6 hours running detailed scans of the planet. What they found made Song call an immediate meeting in the ship's small conference room. This isn't just a small deposit, he told his team as they gathered around the holographic display. Based on our readings, there might be more quantum cores on this one planet than humanity has used in the past 50 years. Cho Yuna nodded excitedly. The geological formations are perfect. This whole region was created by the same kind of stellar events that produce the biggest deposits we know about. So why hasn't anyone else found it? Han Jiwan asked. Song had been wondering the same thing. He pulled up a larger star chart showing the surrounding systems. Most of them had been explored by various alien species over the past 1,000 years, but this particular area had been ignored. Look at the location, he said, pointing to their current position. We're right on the border between Veltar space and the neutral zone. Neither side wanted to risk starting a conflict by mining here, so they both stayed away. And now? Cho Yuna asked. Now we're here, Song replied, and we're not asking anyone's permission. While his crew prepared the mining probes, Song sent an encrypted message back to Earth Command. The communication would take 3 days to reach human space, but he wanted Commander Park to know what they had found as soon as possible. 2 days later, they received new orders. Commander Park was sending a full mining fleet to their location, along with enough equipment to establish a permanent base. More importantly, he was sending similar fleets to 12 other locations where scout ships had found promising deposits. Looks like we're not the only ones who got lucky, Han Ji-won said as she read the message. Song wasn't surprised. Human explorers had been mapping the galaxy for decades, always making note of interesting planets and systems for future reference. When the embargo started, Dr. Kim Nari had pulled together all of those old survey reports and created a target list of places where quantum cores might exist. The current operation was just the beginning. Over the next week, more human ships began arriving in the system. First came the mining vessels, huge industrial ships designed to strip valuable materials from entire planets. Then came the construction crews, ready to build the refineries and storage facilities they would need to process the raw quantum cores. Song watched the activity from his bridge with satisfaction. The consortium had expected humans to quietly accept their fate and retreat to their home systems. Instead, they were building the largest mining operation anyone had seen in centuries. Captain, his communications officer called. We're receiving a transmission from the Veltar patrol ship that just entered the system. Song was not surprised. They had known that alien ships would eventually notice the increased human activity in this region. The question was, what the Veltar would do about it. The alien captain appeared on the main display. He was tall and thin like all Veltar, with pale blue skin and the elaborate facial markings that showed his rank in their military. His expression was a mixture of confusion and anger. Human vessel, the alien said in accented standard. You are operating in restricted space. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. Song looked at his crew, then back at the alien captain. This system is listed as unclaimed space in all official records. We have every right to be here. This sector is under Veltar protection, the alien replied. Your presence here violates the treaties that maintain peace between our species. Which treaty? Song asked calmly. Please provide the specific document and filing date. The Veltar. Captain's face changed color slightly. Song knew that the alien was bluffing. The Veltar had never officially claimed this system because doing so would have required them to defend it, and they had better ways to spend their military resources. You will leave now, the alien said finally, or we will make you leave. Song smiled. We're not going anywhere. If you have a legal claim to this system, present it to the proper authorities. Otherwise, we'll continue our lawful mining operations. The transmission ended abruptly. Song knew that the Veltar ship would report this conversation to their superiors, who would then have to decide how far they were willing to go to stop human mining operations. Think they'll try to force us out? Han Ji-won asked. Song looked at the growing human fleet in the system around them. Mining ships, construction vessels, and now 3 military escorts that had arrived with the latest group. They can try, he said. Dr. Kim Nari had not slept properly in 4 days. Her laboratory on Earth's largest space station looked like a hurricane had hit it. Tools and machine parts were scattered across every surface. Half-built devices hummed and sparked on workbenches. The air smelled like hot metal and burned electronics. But none of that mattered because she was close to solving the biggest problem humanity had ever faced. "Hand me that plasma cutter," she called to Chief Mechanic Yoon Seok, who was lying on, his back under a massive piece of mining equipment. Yoon Seok slid out from under the machine, oil stains covering his work clothes. He had been with the Earth Mining Corporation for 20 years before the military asked him to join this special project. His job was to take Dr. Kim's scientific theories and turn them into machines that actually worked. "This is crazy. You know that, right?" he said as he passed her the tool. "We're trying to do in 3 months what took the consortium centuries to perfect." Dr. Kim smiled as she made a precise cut in the metal housing. The consortium never had to work this fast. They had the luxury of time and unlimited resources. "We have something better." "What's that?" Desperation. The machine they were building looked nothing like the elegant quantum core extractors that other species used. Those devices were beautiful works of art, designed to carefully remove crystals from rock formations without damaging them. The process took weeks for each crystal and required teams of skilled technicians. The human version was different. It was ugly, loud, and built from parts that were never meant to work together. Dr. Kim had taken a civilian mining laser, combined it with military-grade explosives, and somehow made the whole thing work 3 times faster than anything the aliens had ever created. "The theory is simple," she explained to Yoon Seok as they worked. "Other species treat quantum core extraction like surgery. They're afraid of damaging the crystals, so they work slowly and carefully. But our tests show that the cores can handle much more stress than anyone realized. So instead of surgery, we're doing demolition." "Controlled demolition," Dr. Kim corrected. "We blast the rock away from the crystals instead of carefully cutting around them. It's faster, cheaper, and we can train anyone to do it in a few days instead of a few years." Yoon Seok shook his head in amazement. "The consortium is going to hate this." "Good," Dr. Kim replied. Across the station, Communications Officer Park Sumi was dealing with a different kind of problem. Her job was to coordinate the secret network that connected all 47 human exploration teams. Every day, she received status reports from scout ships scattered across the galaxy. Every night, she sent out new target coordinates and updated mission parameters. The challenge was keeping all of this communication hidden from alien monitoring systems. The consortium had listening posts throughout known space, and they were getting suspicious about the increase in human ship movements. Park Sumi had solved this problem the same way humans solved all their problems. She ignored the official rules and found a better way. "We're bouncing our signals off commercial freight ships," she explained to Ambassador Lee during one of their daily briefings. "Human cargo vessels travel to hundreds of systems for legitimate trade purposes. Our scout ships send their reports to the nearest freighter, which then includes the data in routine business communications back to Earth." "Isn't that illegal?" Lee asked. "Only if someone can prove we're doing it," Park Sumi replied with a grin. "And since we're using civilian encryption methods that look exactly like normal shipping manifests, good luck proving anything." Lee had to admire the cleverness of it. The consortium would see thousands of normal trade messages flowing between human ships and colonies. They would never realize that mixed in with cargo reports and delivery schedules were detailed surveys of quantum core deposits across dozens of star systems. Back in the laboratory, Dr. Kim and Yoon Seok were putting the finishing touches on their prototype extractor. The device was about the size of a small building and looked like it had been assembled by someone who had never seen a real mining machine before. "Ready for the first test?" Dr. Kim asked. They had set up a simulation chamber with real rock samples that contained small quantum cores. If their machine worked, it would extract the crystals in minutes instead of hours. If it failed, they would probably blow up half the laboratory. Yoon Seok activated the power systems while Dr. Kim monitored the extraction process on her displays. The machine began with a low humming sound that gradually increased to a roar. Lights flashed, sparks flew, and the whole station seemed to shake. Then suddenly everything went quiet. Dr. Kim looked at her readings and started laughing. Yoon Seok rushed over to see what had happened. "Did it work?" he asked. Better than work, Dr. Kim replied, pointing to the extraction chamber. Look. Inside the chamber, 5 perfect quantum cores sat in a collection tray. The rock that had contained them was now a pile of fine powder. The entire extraction had taken 4 minutes and 12 seconds. How long would this have taken using consortium methods? Yoon Seok asked. Dr. Kim checked her calculations. About 6 hours for each crystal. We just did in 4 minutes what would normally take them 30 hours. They spent the next 2 days running more tests, fine-tuning the process and documenting everything for the engineering teams that would build the full-scale versions. Each test worked better than the last. By the end of the week, they had a machine that could extract quantum cores faster than anyone had thought possible. The breakthrough came at the perfect time. Reports from the exploration teams were getting more urgent. Captain Song and his crew had discovered deposits that were larger than expected, but they were also attracting more alien attention. Other scout ships were reporting similar situations. The consortium was starting to realize that humans were not quietly accepting their embargo. Dr. Kim sent the final design specifications to Commander Park with a simple message. Ready for deployment. We can start full-scale operations within 2 weeks. The reply came back within an hour. Begin immediate production. We have 17 sites ready for mining operations. As Dr. Kim and Yoon Seok began preparing to build dozens of their extraction machines, Park Sumi received a different kind of message from one of the scout teams. Captain Song's ship had been joined by 3 Veltar patrol vessels, and the aliens were demanding that all human ships leave the system immediately. The real test was about to begin. The alarm on Captain Song's bridge was loud enough to wake the dead. Red lights flashed as his tactical officer announced what everyone could already see on the main display. 23 Veltar warships had just dropped out of hyperspace at Q, the edge of their system. Well, Pilot Han Jiwon said calmly, I guess they're serious this time. Song studied the alien formation as it moved toward their position. The Veltar had brought everything they had in this sector, cruisers, destroyers, and even one of their massive dreadnought ships that could probably take on half the human fleet by itself. But Song was not worried. Commander Park had been expecting this moment for weeks. All mining ships, begin emergency extraction procedures, Song ordered over the communication channel. Security teams implement Protocol 7. Across the system, the human mining operation transformed from a peaceful industrial site into something that looked like organized chaos. The massive extraction machines that Dr. Kim had designed roared to life at maximum power. Instead of the careful, slow process that other species used, the human miners began ripping quantum cores out of the ground as fast as their equipment could handle. Engineer Cho Yuna watched the readings on her display with amazement. Captain, the main site is pulling cores at 12 times normal speed. At this rate, we can strip the entire deposit in 6 hours. How long until the Veltar fleet reaches us? 8 hours, assuming they maintain current speed. Song smiled. The aliens were moving at their normal, careful pace. They probably expected the humans to panic and flee as soon as they saw the size of the Veltar force. Instead, the humans were working faster than ever. On the largest mining platform, Chief Mechanic Yoon Seok was pushing Dr. Kim's machines beyond their designed limits. Sparks flew from overloaded circuits and the air was filled with the sound of metal grinding against rock. His team worked like their lives depended on it because in many ways they did. Extraction rate is at 130% of maximum, one of his technicians reported. Push it to 150, Yoon Seok replied. These machines were built to be tough, let's see how tough. The extraction process that normally took months was being completed in hours. Quantum cores the size of small buildings were being pulled from the ground and loaded onto transport ships. Every few minutes, another cargo vessel would jump to hyperspace, carrying its precious load back to human space. Meanwhile, similar operations were happening in 12 other star systems. Commander Park had coordinated the timing perfectly. All across the galaxy, human mining teams were simultaneously extracting massive quantities of quantum cores from deposits that the consortium had ignored for centuries. The Veltar fleet commander, Admiral Kethvar, watched the human activity with growing frustration. His ship's sensors showed mining operations that defied everything he knew about proper extraction procedures. The humans were being reckless, dangerous, and completely effective. "Send them another warning," he ordered his communications officer. The message that reached Captain Song was formal and threatening. The Veltar demanded that all human ships leave the system within 2 hours or face the consequences. Any attempt to continue mining operations would be considered an act of war. Song's reply was brief and direct. "We are conducting lawful mining operations in unclaimed space. If you have legal authority to stop us, present your documentation. Otherwise, stay out of our way." Admiral Kethvar had never received such a response from any species. Most civilizations showed proper respect for Veltar authority. Even the powerful races that could match them militarily were usually more diplomatic in their communications. "Shall we open fire?" his weapons officer asked. The admiral hesitated. Starting a shooting war with humanity over a mining dispute could have serious consequences. The Veltar had always preferred to control other species through economic pressure rather than direct violence, but the humans were making that impossible. "Broadcast a message to the mining platforms," he decided. "Tell them they have 1 hour to cease operations and prepare for evacuation." Back on the mining platform, Yoon Seok received the ultimatum while knee-deep in machinery maintenance. He read it quickly, then showed it to his team. "What do you think?" asked one of his technicians. "Should we be worried?" Yoon Seok looked around at the operation they had built. Massive quantities of quantum cores were already loaded and ready for transport. The extraction machines were working perfectly, pulling more crystals from the ground every minute. In a few more hours, they would have everything valuable from this site. "Keep working," he said finally. "If they wanted to stop us, they would have done it already." He was right. The Veltar were discovering something that other species had learned over the years. Humans did not respond to threats the way most civilizations did. Instead of becoming more cautious when challenged, they often became more determined. As the deadline approached, Admiral Kethvar found himself in an impossible position. His superiors expected him to stop the human mining operation, but doing so would require him to fire on civilian targets. The humans had cleverly mixed their mining ships with their military escorts, making it difficult to attack one without hitting the other. "Admiral," his tactical officer reported, "the humans are launching another group of cargo ships." Kethvar watched as 6 more vessels jumped to hyperspace, carrying loads of quantum cores that legally belonged to whoever could extract them first. The humans were not stealing anything, technically. They were just taking things that no one else had bothered to claim. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the human fleet commander." Captain Song appeared on the admiral's display, looking calm and confident, despite being outnumbered 20 to 1. "Admiral Kethvar," Song said politely, "I wanted to inform you that our mining operation will be completed in approximately 4 hours. After that, we'll be happy to vacate this system and leave you to enjoy the empty holes we've dug." The transmission ended before the admiral could respond. Around him, his bridge crew waited for orders that he found himself unable to give. The humans had done something that no species had ever managed before. They had called the consortium's bluff and won. In 4 hours, they would have extracted more quantum cores from this one system than the Veltar had mined in the past decade, and there was nothing the admiral could do to stop them without starting a war that his government was not prepared to fight. As the final cargo ships prepared for departure, Song looked out at the Veltar fleet that had come to stop them. The alien ships had not moved from their original positions. They were just watching as humanity took what it needed and prepared to leave. "Think they learned something today?" Han Juan asked. Song nodded. "They learned that humans don't ask permission." 3 months later, Ambassador Lee Donghyun walked through the corridors of the Galactic Trade Consortium headquarters with a smile on his face. The same alien officials who had delivered humanity's embargo now watched him with expressions that mixed fear, respect, and complete confusion. Everything had changed. The meeting room where Lee had received the original ultimatum now felt different. Chancellor Kixmoth sat at the head of the curved table, his pale blue skin looking somehow less impressive than it had before. Around him, Representatives from dozens of alien species waited to hear what the human ambassador had to say. Honored. Chancellor, Lee began with a formal bow. I come before the consortium today with a proposal that I believe will benefit all our civilizations. Kixmoth's expression was carefully neutral, but Lee could see the tension in his posture. The Veltar leader had spent the past 3 months dealing with the consequences of his failed embargo. Instead of forcing humanity into submission, he had created a new power in the galaxy. Please proceed, Ambassador, the Chancellor said quietly. Lee activated his holographic display, showing a 3-dimensional chart of quantum core deposits across known space. Red markers indicated sites that were currently being mined by consortium members. Blue markers showed the locations where human operations had been established. There were a lot of blue markers. As you can see, Lee continued, humanity has been quite busy since our last meeting. We have successfully established mining operations in 43 star systems. Our current extraction rate exceeds the combined output of all consortium operations by approximately 300%. The numbers caused a stir among the alien delegates. Several species had built their entire economies around quantum core trade. The idea that one young civilization could suddenly produce more than all of them combined was almost impossible to believe. These operations are illegal, declared the Krexthi representative, his insect-like features showing clear agitation. Those systems were protected under consortium mining rights. Lee smiled politely. I have reviewed all official territorial claims filed with the Galactic Registry. None of the systems we are operating in have ever been legally claimed by any consortium member. They were simply ignored because member species preferred to maintain artificial scarcity rather than develop new resources. Chancellor Kixmoth leaned forward. What exactly are you proposing, Ambassador? A new trade relationship, Lee replied. Humanity is prepared to sell quantum cores to any species that wishes to purchase them. Our prices will be significantly lower than current market rates, and we can guarantee steady supply for the next 500 years. The room erupted in voices as delegates began talking over each other. Some demanded to know how humans had developed such advanced extraction technology so quickly. Others wanted detailed information about the new deposits. A few asked whether humanity would consider forming exclusive trade partnerships. Dr. Kim, Nari, who had been quietly observing from the back of the room, stepped forward to address the technical questions. Our extraction methods are completely revolutionary, she explained. While consortium techniques focus on careful, slow removal of individual crystals, human technology approaches the problem differently. We extract entire deposits at once, processing everything in industrial-scale operations. That must damage the crystal structure, protested the Veltar chief scientist. Dr. Kim shook her head. Our quality analysis shows no decrease in effectiveness. In fact, our rapid extraction methods often produce cleaner crystals because they spend less time exposed to environmental contamination. Commander Park Jiho, who had remained silent throughout most of the meeting, finally spoke up. The real question, he said calmly, is whether the consortium wants to continue operating under the old system or adapt to the new reality we have created. His words carried an unspoken message that everyone in the room understood. The old system where the consortium controlled galactic trade through artificial scarcity was over. Humanity had broken that control permanently. Chancellor Kixmoth was quiet for a long moment. As the leader of the most powerful consortium species, his next words would determine how the galaxy responded to this new situation. What are your terms? He asked finally. Lee had been waiting for this question. Simple and fair. Any species can purchase quantum cores from human suppliers at market prices that reflect actual production costs rather than artificial inflation. In exchange, we expect normal diplomatic and trade relationships with all consortium members. And if we refuse, Commander Park answered before Lee could speak, then you continue buying from your current suppliers at current prices, while other species take advantage of our lower costs and better supply guarantees. The choice is yours. It was not really a choice at all, and everyone knew it. Any species that refused to trade with humanity would find themselves at a massive economic disadvantage compared to their neighbors. Over the next 2 hours, the details were worked out. Humanity would establish official trade offices in major consortium systems. Alien species could place orders for specific quantities of quantum cores with guaranteed delivery dates. Most importantly, the embargo that had started this entire situation was formally ended. As the meeting concluded, Chancellor Kixmoth approached Ambassador Lee privately. "I underestimated your species," the Veltar leader admitted. "When we imposed the embargo, I expected you to negotiate for reduced restrictions. I never imagined you would make the entire issue irrelevant." Lee nodded respectfully. "You made the same mistake that many species make when dealing with humans. You assumed we would accept limitations imposed by others. And instead we solved our own problems." 6 months later, Dr. Kim Nari stood in her new laboratory on the human mining station above KC-7, the planet where Captain Song had made his first major discovery. Through the large windows, she could see dozens of ships loading and unloading cargo. Human freighters carried quantum cores to every corner of the galaxy, while alien vessels brought rare materials and advanced technologies that humanity needed for its continued expansion. Commander Park entered the laboratory carrying a data pad with the latest production reports. "How are we doing?" Dr. Kim asked. "Better than anyone expected," Park replied. "We're now supplying quantum cores to over 200 different species. 3 major civilizations have switched entirely from consortium suppliers to human sources." Dr. Kim looked at the star charts displayed on her wall. They showed hundreds of systems that human survey teams had identified as potential mining sites. Only a small fraction had been developed so far. "What's our next target?" she asked. Commander Park smiled and pointed to a cluster of stars near the galactic rim. "Long-range scouts have found deposits there that make KC-7 look small. We're calling it the Abundance Sector." Dr. Kim laughed. "I like that name." As they planned the next phase of human expansion, neither of them thought about the embargo that had started everything. That crisis belonged to the past. Humanity had taken what it needed and changed the galaxy forever. The consortium had learned an important lesson about dealing with humans. When you try to control them by taking away what they need, they don't submit. They take what they want.